Nathaniel.
Michael.
Oh, no, it's the other way around. Fuck
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. We've been going all the way around. Okay, go ahead.
From Jackanoid Paralobe, this is the Beta Boi Breakdown with Michael and Nathaniel.
So I became interested in it just because I get obsessed with subcultures. I love learning about different subcultures and what they think and how they operate and how they differ from just the mainstream culture. And I think I've told you at certain points also, I can look back at a lot of these manosphere beliefs and what they believe and why they believe them and kind of go, oh, that's interesting. When you start to learn about them, you start to realize what you have in common, and you start to see some of their views and where they come from, and you go, oh, those are interesting points. And I never took that to the place of agreeing with them or agreeing with the outcome or wanting to join their movement. But I did look at that and go, I can see why somebody would. I can see why a man in a certain situation in his life might be tempted by this. And so that creates empathy. And when I feel empathy, now I've got to know why I feel that empathy. I got to feel like why can I understand them? I shouldn't be able to understand these people, but I do.
You know what's interesting there is that as you were discussing your interest, that idea of that word empathy popped up for me right before you said it. And it's felt somehow dangerous in this day and age to even empathize with a quote unquote fringe culture or subculture, just to understand where someone is coming from in their life and how you could see a certain person in their, position believing a certain thing. That almost seems like taboo, but empathy should be the starting point for like how we connect as a society. So that's it's interesting in and of itself.
Yeah. The idea that expressing empathy for a certain group or person is the same as tacitly agreeing with that person's views and worldview is a danger in saying that. It feels so nowadays, but I think it's probably the same throughout history. But definitely it feels a little dangerous, like you said, and it should be really the start of where we're coming from. And I think the way to keep men from falling for this trap is to understand why they're falling for it in the first place.
Why do you call it a trap?
We'll get to it. They take these good places where they start. And you'll hear through this whole thing, like the manosphere basically is a grift. And it takes these really grifty spaces like self-help and health and wellness, and it from there twists messages to very dark, misogynistic, horrible places. But the start of it, self-help is great. Everybody loves self-help, but you can fall quickly into, the reason you need help is because these women over here. I don't want to bring the patriarchy into it. But I feel like this is where you have to bring the patriarchy into it and just remind everybody that like the patriarchy fucks over women. It also fucks over most men. Like the idea that there are a few men who are getting everything they want and it's a zero-sum game. So if they're getting what they want, you aren't getting what you want. And the only way to do that, only way to get what you want is to go ahead and commit violence or to try and manipulate your way up there. Like that's such a patriarchal idea and it's so hurting so many dudes. And I don't know how you counter program that. I mean, that's kind of the reason you and I started this is we're like to some degree of counter programming, but every time I look into it, I'm like, it's futile. It's futile. Like this is so pervasive now that like, I don't know how to.
I don't think that fixing or quote unquote counter programming is the thing I would lean toward as an objective. What I want to do is understand what I don't understand. And part of that comes down to what you've brought up today in terms of the history and legacy and finding out from an empathetic perspective how somebody could be desiring an answer and a way to engage with fellow humans in a way that doesn't come naturally to them out of sheer loneliness and hope, and become embittered or part of that manipulative problem. If this is as, because I'm rather Luddite fellow, I don't spend as much time online as you and others do. Hearing, and it makes sense, and I can draw the lines, hearing how pervasive it is and how it's influencing culture and identity and decision making from the highest levels. I think simply talking about it, and you yourself said that some things about pickup culture hadn't, like the playbook hadn't been discussed, like the observations had been discussed, but not the actual thing. Maybe just unpacking these ideas one bit at a time and just examining them and giving light to them at least furthers understanding, not just for us, but for folks on whatever side of this equation, so that we're actually just talking about the same set of things, So it's not like hunting in the dark for like, what is the thing? How far is it? Like all this stuff. It's just like, well, here's the thing. Here's some connection points, and let the conversation go from wherever else.
Yeah.